Hello, welcome to the recording of the Family Meeting Podcast. We're glad that you're with us today. I hope you're having a fantastic week. Ours has been eventful and
a lot of miles on the road.
We have been we traveled to Mississippi this weekend and back, and we got back at like midnight on Sunday night. And Monday was Memorial Day, but we all had things we had to do and directions we were going. So we were all in different directions. But last night was so wonderful because we all came together and we had dinner together and watched a family movie and just had a little bit of family time. So it was nice. What is your Memorial Day like? Did you get to have family over, invest in family? Of course, we are very grateful to those who gave their lives so that we could have that barbecue, right? Or have family over and for our freedom. So we are thankful, but we'd love to hear what you do on Memorial Day weekend. What is your special family traditions? We don't really have any.
Not for Memorial Day, no.
It's like whatever happens, and it can be really great, really awesome.
Worked most of the day, yeah. The family movie was The Fountain of Youth on Apple TV.
It was very Indiana Jones-ish.
Yeah, it felt like a combination between Indiana Jones and
National Treasure.
Yeah, National Treasure.
Who was the guy in National Treasure? I was struggling. It wasn't.
It's the dude from Face Off. Nicolas Cage.
Oh,
Nicolas Cage.
Yes. Do you know who I put it with? Night at the Museum. Ben Stiller.
Ben Stiller. That'd be a different movie.
I like crossed movies.
That'd be a different movie. It'd be funny. But It was a good movie. It was entertaining.
It was. We all really enjoyed it. But the thing that was nice is just being together as a family because we have been traveling so much, and it's just been nice to be home a little bit.
And it has Jim from The Office on it. So
yeah.
I don't even know what his John something.
John starting with a K.
Yeah. John K.
John K.
Yeah.
Isn't it? It was good though. But we had a good Memorial Day, and now we're gonna record for you today, and then you're off to visit all the fire stations. Yep. I'm off to St. Augustine to look at Flagler College with our second daughter, who's going to be going there this fall, and we're just going to make sure all our ducks are in a row there. So we've got...
It's going to be an emotional time for you, I think.
I think it will, because the last time when we went there and we took a tour of the college like back a year ago, it was with the idea in mind that we were going to get an exception and she was going to be able to live at home and commute, and they absolutely will not let her do that. And so now we're going to be going like... Okay.
Knowing she's leaving, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not cool.
And then we have a big exterior paint job the end of this week.
Actually,
starting tomorrow.
Yeah. It starts tomorrow. So I'll be picking up
but it'll
today.
last the whole end of the week. Get that done.
Yeah.
Gonna try to work early in the morning because it gets hot here in the afternoon. Hot.
It gets hot fast. Especially, this is the end of May. We're going into June right now, so the weather's hot.
So hopefully you have had a great week, and we're gonna dive into... Did you tell them what we're gonna talk about today?
I did not.
All right. I'll let you do that.
We're going to talk about sex. So if you do have little kids around watching with you, or teenagers, it may be even worse to have teenagers watching with you.
Might be good for teenagers to hear some of this stuff.
Oh, man. Not with mom and dad in the room, though. I guess, is it better without mom and dad?
No,
I don't know.
You definitely want to have mom and dad in the room.
It's just awkward, you guys. Don't have your kids.
But what exactly are we talking about?
We're talking about sex myths, things that a lot of people believe to be true and are not true. Some of these you're going to be like, yeah, duh, no wonder. And
it's like, how did anybody ever think that would be true? But it happens.
Some of them, I thought to myself, like, how could anyone think this is true? And some of them I was like, wait, what?
That's not true?
Yeah, so we're not only talking about, like, the emotional side of sex, but we're also talking about, like, the physiological side. So I think it'll be a good episode, but you don't want to have underage kids maybe listening to this.
All right. We ready?
I'm ready. Let's do this.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Gather around, everybody. It's time for a family meeting. The Family Meeting is a show that's all about family relationships. We're the Osterkamps. I'm Thomas, and this is my wife. Definitely has a headache tonight, Lysandra.
Hello, and welcome to our family. Welcome to episode 244 of the Family Meeting Podcast. On today's episode, we're going to discuss sex myths with you. So this is one of those episodes we like to give you a fair warning, plenty of time in advance. This is not the one that you want to listen in the minivan with all the kids in the back.
Yeah.
This is not the one that you want to listen to maybe with your in-laws.
Oh, yeah.
This may be a great episode for you to listen to, just you and your spouse on a date night. But we are going to talk about misconceptions about sex. Some of the things on here are going to be, we were just telling our YouTube viewers, some of them are going to be like, how did anybody think that that was true? How did anybody not know that? But some of them, I was like, wait, what? A couple things surprised me on here. And then some things I just never ever thought about. But hopefully we're all going to learn something from this, and it'll benefit our sex lives. But the truth is, there's a lot of misconceptions about sex, a lot of misinformation is out there.
Yeah. So I think myths, I think of things like Slender Man and all that. So
Slender Man?
Yeah.
What's that?
It's a myth.
I've never heard this one.
Yes, you have. This is the one that I used to scare Violet with all the time.
What is it? How do I not remember this?
He's like this big, long dude.
Skinny, obviously.
And two girls actually murdered their friend because of it.
What?
Yeah, they said Slender Man told them to do it. But...
In real life or in a movie?
Real life. Yeah.
What does Slender Man do? Like, what's the myth?
Slender Man is like a mythological creature. So you know how Bigfoot's real. Slender Man's like a fake myth.
Okay. And what's the story?
So these are the myths about sex.
Yeah.
Kind of like the Slender Men of sex. So.
I don't remember hearing about Slender Man.
Yeah, because you used to get mad at me when I talked about Slender Man because Violet would get scared.
I remember other ones that you would like mess around
like
and
what?
Scare the kids. Like, I can't remember the name. It's like a big funny name, big weird name. Not Sasquatch.
Yeah, because that's real. It's not a myth.
Oh my. I can't remember. Help me out.
I don't know.
The big scary creature that was supposed to come.
I don't know what you're trying to say.
Not Krampus, but you did that one around Christmas.
Yeah, that's a myth. That's a myth.
Cobra Kicha.
Oh, you're talking about Chupacabra.
Chupacabra.
No, that's real.
What's
so you have to determine between real and it's the goat sucker.
The goat sucker is real?
Yeah, Chupacabra. That's the goat sucker.
He sucks on goats?
Or like their blood.
Oh,
like
okay.
Drains their blood.
Okay, I remember you used to tease the girls about Chupacabra, and they would get so scared, and I would get really mad. That one I remember. I do not remember Slender Man. We'll have to see if Violet remembers that.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, myths.
So yeah, going to be talking about these myths. We need to do like a mythological creature episode. How to teach your kids or scare them.
How are we going to tie that into family meeting?
How to scare your kids with mythological creatures.
All right.
And then comfort them with the real ones.
Like Sasquatch.
Exactly. So, we had a great weekend. We were in Byron, Mississippi with James and Amber and our friends there. We had some longtime listeners.
Yes.
Who were there.
Yeah. Andrea and Jeremy started listening to the podcast a while ago, and it was really fun to get to meet them. And she's telling us how she will just be listening while she's getting ready and everything, and it's so fun to hear about that.
So shout out to you.
Yeah. Hi. How you doing? I hope you're having a great day today. So we are talking about. Oh, do you have any? You're going to talk about our.
Well, we're on the retreat we just did.
Oh yeah, we're going to talk more about that.
So
sorry, I was about to like.
You got distracted. It's just like Lysandra. Anytime it has to do with sex, it's like just get into it, get it over with. Yeah,
exactly.
But we had a great time with them. Talked about leveling up your marriage. We took some couples from the Bible that you don't necessarily hear a lot about,
right?
And learned some lessons from them. Talked about teamwork and how we can level up our teamwork. What ways we can do that. It is what's the couple?
Ananias and Sapphira.
No, not that.
Priscilla and Aquila.
Yeah, that's the one. I want to say Ananias and Sapphira too. And it's a couple that Lysandra and I really love, even though we can't remember their names. But every time you see them in the Word, they are working together.
Yeah, and that's what I love is so cool. Like, you never hear of just Aquila or just Priscilla. Like, they are always, if you hear one name, you hear the other. And that's kind of, I think, that's how we are in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that's I think that's pretty cool. It's pretty special. So we talked about leveling up teamwork. We talked about sex.
Yeah. Leveling up your sex. We had a lot of things that we shared, and in that we shared 10 ways to spice up your sex life. And we're going to do, in the future at some point, we're going to do an episode on that, share those 10 things with you. Mm-hmm. Did compassion.
Yep.
We just talked about the importance of sympathy and empathy, how they're different, and how we can apply them to our marriage relationship. And then we closed out Sunday in the Sunday morning service with session number 4, talking about leveling up your forgiveness and learning to let go and be set free from the things that people have done to us, whether it's our spouse or somebody else. Yeah,
and all in all, it was just a great weekend. We enjoyed being with our friends again. We enjoyed the time that we had in the car together, just working together and talking through things. And these conferences are good for us too.
Yeah.
Like, they help us to work on our marriage.
And so, but now we're looking forward to, we got a couple more coming up very shortly. We have one right here in Flagler Beach, Relationship Refresh, July 25th and 26th. And you can get your tickets right now. Mm-hmm. We have some listeners who are joining us from the state of Iowa, be making their way down. Drew and Chloe, looking forward to seeing them again. Awesome. They came last year. They're coming back this year. Mm-hmm.
It's a great place to vacation. Wrap it into a relationship refresh.
Exactly. So if you're in the area or not, it's a great opportunity for you. $25 a couple.
Yeah, you just can't get that rate anywhere else.
It's so cheap. We want you to be able to come and to work on your marriage. We're not trying to make money off of this at all. No. We're simply just trying to cover the costs. So encourage you to be here for that. We're going to be talking about man versus wife and the difference between men and women and how those things come into play, how they're great positives but can cause some issues as well. Mm-hmm. I think it'll be a good time together. So make your plans for that. Then we'll be up in Georgia in August, and we'll get that information to you very shortly. But we go from one, and we're automatically excited and thinking about the next one we're going to be speaking at and looking forward to seeing so many of you.
Absolutely. So this was kind of funny because as we were preparing for this episode, we were at a marriage conference that we attended ourselves, marriage weekend.
Family Life,
Weekend to Remember.
Yeah.
And it was a very enjoyable conference. It was good for us to get an opportunity to work on our own relationship. But it was so funny because when they started off talking about their session on sex, the one lady, she's in her 50s, and she was talking about her great aunt or her aunt.
That I don't remember. Okay. I just remember the story.
So it was an older woman. And when she was about to get married, this older woman, she knew nothing about sex at all, but I guess the day before her wedding, her mother came to her and said, make sure you keep your man happy, because if not, he's going to masturbate. And if he does, it will cause blindness.
Yeah.
That masturbation causes blindness.
That's myth number 1.
Yeah, that's myth number 1.
Masturbation will cause blindness.
It will not. And it was just so funny because I guess she said that this lady was like looking at how thick men's glasses were.
And judging them by their glasses. But I'm curious, did she do the same thing for women who wore glasses?
My guess is that long ago, it probably was thought that was only a man thing.
Yeah.
I could be wrong, but I mean, that's actually what I thought when I was growing up, so what did I know?
Yeah.
Look at how sheltered you are.
But you thought the blindness thing also. And you're like, oh, he doesn't even wear glasses. He must be a chaste man.
I did not think that at all. I'd never even heard that until she said that at that conference.
I just thought that was so funny.
We laughed
so hard. Somebody literally believed. And of course, I've heard that a bunch.
You have?
Yeah, that it causes blindness.
What?
Yeah, that's a very popular myth. Like people know it's a joke now for the most part, but okay. Yeah.
I hadn't heard that one. If you've heard that, tell us in the comments.
I don't know how that got started, and I don't know that we can ever know how it got started. No. But yeah, that was a widespread thing.
It's like when, if you sit too close to the TV, you're going to go blind.
Yeah. Or
it's like,
your eyes are going to stick that way. You know, you do
Right.
crazy, and your parents would be like, your eyes are going to stick that way.
I guess like what happened was parents at some point decided to make up consequences for things they wanted their kids to stop.
I'm guessing that what it was, and they were trying to get their kid to stop doing that.
Scare
And
them
they're
into
yeah,
behaving.
it'll cause blindness.
Yeah. So that's myth number 1.
Yeah.
All right, what's myth number 2? This one's a lot less. Let's see. I think that this myth number 2 is going to be a lot more widespread believed.
I agree with that. And so this myth says sex should always be spontaneous. And that's people believe this. It's like just going to be like, well, we're both going to feel it exactly in the moment, and it's just going to happen.
If you're waiting for that, you probably haven't had sex for a long time.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Probably. I mean, with how busy our lives are, it's very rarely spontaneous. Now, spontaneous happens.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more rare. What are you laughing
I
about?
think spontaneous happens for one person.
You think the other one's been plotting?
Well, I think one person has this idea like throughout the day, like, I think I'm going to have enough energy tonight. I think I'm going to make this happen, and approaches the other, and the other one is like blindsided, and it's very spontaneous. Does that make sense? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So you're like, one person's thinking about it, and the other person maybe isn't.
Is more the receiver, like, oh, okay, cool. And so it's spontaneous for them, but the person who's been thinking about it, it's not spontaneous.
Who do you think's the receiver?
Whichever spouse hasn't been thinking about it.
All right.
Are you asking me in our relationship?
No, I'm just thinking overall. Like,
I don't know that it's necessarily men or women. It depends on a lot of factors.
okay. But yeah, that it should be spontaneous, which spontaneity can be exciting, but expecting every sexual encounter to be spontaneous really sets unrealistic standards.
Yes, it's not realistic. Absolutely.
That's just not the way it's going to be. And we've talked about this before, but planning and creating an atmosphere conducive to intimacy can enhance anticipation and connection between partners. Mm-hmm. So every so often, basically whenever Lysandra and I know we're going to get away. So we will text each other about it, and it's just like we're kind of building anticipation. Now, often the texting about the future leads to having sex right now, but
right.
It can, like, even though that's not going to be spontaneous. Sometimes that leads to spontaneous, but that's not spontaneous. Most of the time it's not spontaneous. It's like, okay, we know the kids are going to be gone here. This is our time. This is our window.
This is the plan. And if it is scheduled, what we try to do is like, we say like, okay, it's scheduled. Yeah, that kind of sounds like wah, wah, wah. But it's not.
I think whenever I can get it, it's great. So planned or not.
But I think women are more prone to feel like planned is not fun. Planned is not exciting.
That would be interesting to hear from our listeners about that.
Yeah. Let's take a poll. Who out of the two of you, husband, wife, which one feels like spontaneity is like more important, or who feels like scheduled sex is like not as exciting?
Well, and I know you wrote a blog post about scheduled sex, and we had a few people on there that really felt like it was like just killed the idea of it.
Yeah, but as what I look at it is like scheduled sex just means like we can build the anticipation and talk about it and text about it, and so I guess it's how you look at it. Okay, another myth that is out there is that sex comes naturally. So this goes along with the first one.
Not just sex, but good sex.
Good sex comes naturally. Yeah, that's true. And it's not true that good sex comes naturally at all. There's this idea that, it shouldn't require any effort. If you are sexually compatible, then there's not going to be any effort or any, you don't have to work at it. And I think that's completely wrong. No matter what, no matter how long you've been married, no matter how compatible you are inside or outside of the bedroom, good sex requires effort, communication, exploration, creativity, communication again, communication again.
It's constantly learning and growing and improving.
Yeah. And this is why we have a session that we do at different conferences, and it's all about talking about sex because it's so important. Like that's how you really level up that intimacy.
Well, and I think just the more we can learn our partner more. We can learn about sex, their body, what they like, and everything else. I just read a book called She Comes First, and it's literally all about how as a man to be a better lover for your spouse. It talks anatomy, techniques, like all these different things. Now, if you're listening, just so you know, this is not written by a Christian. It's pretty graphic, but if maybe your husband's struggling, just get him the book, put it under his pillow or something. Like,
Okay, wait a minute. We got to stop right here.
okay.
How would you feel as a man if I bought you that book? How would that make you feel?
I think it would kind of get things going for me.
Oh, okay. Like it would excite you. It's not.
Yeah,
like,
because it's
you
like
wouldn't feel embarrassed or shame.
No.
Like, oh, my wife thinks that I'm not a good lover.
No, I would
Okay.
think, okay, my wife is very interested in sex, and
Okay.
so I would like that personally. Some guys may take that as an offense. Obviously, you have to know your spouse, but
Yeah.
husbands who are out there, like I said, just know it's not written by a Christian. But I will say, it will take things up a notch. You'll get better at that, and you get better at that, she's gonna want it more. So it's win-win-win in my opinion.
Let me say I recommend the book.
Okay. That's all the recommendation you need, but
Okay.
that's the thing. It doesn't come naturally.
No, it's something you want to work on the skill of it, work on educating yourself in a healthy way. Yeah. So understanding each other's desires, though, and preferences and boundaries takes time and willingness to communicate openly. And that is what leads to good sex. It does not come naturally.
Yes, exactly.
I think a good sex is a skill in a couple.
Right.
Like, it's not just your skill or just my skill. It's like we are skilled together at it.
Yes, because, first of all, you got to learn all the equipment.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that can take some time in and of itself because
Yeah.
we don't know what's going on down there with you ladies, but it takes husband and wife, working together.
Yeah. Because you might have, it's like any sport or musical instrument.
Team sport, yeah.
Like you might have some natural ability, which is awesome. But imagine if you could pair your natural ability with skill.
Yeah.
Wow. Then you're really good.
Exactly.
So.
Let's see. So next myth here is marriage destroys your sex life.
Yep.
Okay.
Just kidding.
She went from glowing reviews to yeah, it's horrible. And
this does not have to be true.
no, but this is so popular in TV shows
Oh, yeah.
and movies and everything else. It's like, oh, you got married, the sex stops now, I guess.
Yep. Not true.
It's not true at all.
It's a myth.
In fact, contrary to expectations, married couples often report more frequent and satisfying sex than singles or cohabitating couples.
Now that is interesting because I think there's definitely a myth out there that if you are cohabitating, so you're living together but you're not married, then sex is better than those who are married living together.
Yeah. And I don't, that's interesting. Mm-hmm. I'd be interested in actually getting my eyes on the study that said that, but
Yeah, I'd have to look that back up. I did not put that in the notes.
But marriage can provide a stable foundation for a fulfilling sexual relationship. And I think, going back to the last one about it coming naturally, when you're married, you have this opportunity to get to know your spouse, get to know what their likes are, dislikes. You kind of become an expert at your wife or expert at your husband.
Right.
Most husbands are pretty easy though, so it doesn't take long to be an expert at them. Tell me I'm lying.
You're not lying. It's pretty easy.
But for a woman, all women they have similarities, but they're different. And so the way that you touch your wife, you should know exactly what the moves are and switch them up and all the things that she likes and enjoys. It should get better over time. Marriage should
Yes.
make your sex life better.
Yes.
Because you are becoming an expert at the person that you're with.
Yeah, and there's something about that stable foundation that it talked about, the security. when you have security and you feel safe, then it's really easy to like let loose and just enjoy.
Yeah.
So I think that's one reason. Okay, here's another. I feel like I want to say this quietly because our kids are upstairs.
Just talk normal. Once they heard us say the word sex down here while we're recording, they were
Earbuds
they're not
probably went in.
they're not listening. I guarantee that.
I'm just gonna whisper.
No, don't whisper. That's weird. Now you made it weird.
I always make it weird. That's kind of my thing, is making everything weird and uncomfortable. All right. Masturbation is harmful.
Okay.
That's a myth out there. Have you ever heard that?
I don't know.
Besides blindness.
Yeah, it causes blindness.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's harmful to your sight. Okay, so like, what do they mean by harmful? Do you know?
Well, I think that, I guess it depends on who you are, but I do think that in Christian circles,
Okay.
there is a belief that masturbation is sinful.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on that, Pastor Thomas?
Well, I don't think it necessarily is sinful. I think pornography is definitely sinful, and there are studies that it's very harmful to your sex drive, your sex life, can cause erectile dysfunction. Like, there are so many proven wrong things with pornography. So I would say if you're masturbating looking at pornography, that's definitely wrong. But I think in a healthy marriage relationship, that this can definitely be a part of your sex life. And in some instances, it can enhance or help. There's medical issues that you may have, all sorts of things, right? So, I mean, you have a child and you're not supposed to have sex for like, what is it, 6 weeks or whatever? I forget what it is. But
it is 6 weeks.
It's like forever, right? And so you can still have a sexual relationship without insertion and all that.
Yeah.
So...
Or like after your husband has a vasectomy.
Yeah.
You gotta wait a while. I think that was even longer.
Yeah. I don't know how long it was, but it was like, yeah, I'm not even going to attempt this until I know that I'm healthy, right?
And I was laughing because remember after our first pregnancy, we waited until like the day of the 6th week. Like,
yeah,
we were so, and even then you were so nervous. Like,
yeah,
I'm going
I
to
was
destroy
too.
my wife.
Yep.
And then I think with like child number 4, it was like, oh, we're out of the hospital. Let's.
No, it wasn't that soon, but I will say the natural birth, we had sex a lot sooner.
Yeah, the C-section probably wasn't for that long.
Yeah, it went a while because of
Just
the nature of that. But.
Yeah. But anyway.
But I think it can be a helpful thing in a marriage relationship, depending on the circumstances. And once again, the issue is, what are you thinking about?
Yes, that's the main thing.
And it should only be your spouse.
Yes.
As Christians, like that's it. So,
right. And I think that leads us into being able to just quickly clarify what a sexual relationship should be. Sexual relationship should be between one man, one woman for one lifetime, in the bounds of marriage. That's how God designed it. And if you want it to work best, it has to work inside the bounds that it was created. Just like having an owner's manual. Like, if you don't take care of your car or your, dishwasher or your oven or whatever, if you don't take care of things the way that the owner's manual says, it's going to mess up. It's going to malfunction or even break it.
Yeah.
And that's the same. Like, if we have sex inside of the boundaries that God designed, and we pay attention to the owner's manual, it's going to succeed. It's going to be not just okay. It's going to be great.
Yeah, totally.
It's going to be great. So
it's funny because you talk about the owner's manual. I saw a post on social media this morning.
Oh, really?
About a toaster. And they were talking about the fact that and it said, this is how I've been using my toaster because it has a really short cord. And it was on its side.
What?
So instead of up and down, the toaster was on its side. And then it said, until I just realized this today or something. And for whatever reason, they looked underneath and like the cord it was wrapped underneath.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Like you can coil up the cord underneath the toaster.
Yeah, so they just thought it had a really short cord, and they were tipping it over and cooking toast on the side, which I don't think is recommended.
No.
Probably sounds like a great way to start a fire on your countertop, but I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, you got to read the owner's manual, right?
Owner's manual. So this is one that I've not heard, and now I've experienced part of this, but I've not heard this.
Okay.
So
this is a myth.
This myth is that erectile dysfunction is only a psychological issue. So it definitely is. I've talked on the podcast before and in conversations we've had about sex, about depression and how that can affect your sex drive and all that kind of stuff. So definitely psychological issues that go along with it. But it can also have physical causes.
Okay.
Like diabetes, heart disease, obviously it has to do with blood flow. So you have heart issues and all that can cause issues.
I love it when you say, obviously it has to do with blood flow. And I'm like, yeah, obviously.
You didn't realize that's what's going on down there?
I mean, no, now I kind of do, yeah. But I really have never been very educated.
That's why. See, this is what I'm talking about earlier when it's talking about we got to learn the equipment, right?
It's been 22 years. I should probably start learning.
Yeah.
Is there a book for me?
I'll write you one.
He Comes Second.
No, that's actually a book.
No way.
Yes.
I just thought I was making a joke.
No, it's She Comes First because she should.
Yeah.
And then there's another book. Yeah.
I want to read that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there you go. I'm going to read it. Okay. Sorry, I interrupted you, but I was just laughing. Okay.
No, that's fine.
Blood flow.
Heart disease. Yeah. So you got heart issues that could be a problem, which is one of the reasons why, the Viagra and all that commercials talk about, if you have heart issues, consult a physician.
Oh.
Right? Because
can it kill them?
Yeah. Probably. But
yikes, not worth it.
That medicine actually started off as blood pressure medicine.
Oh, and then they realized, this has a side effect.
Yeah, they're like, this actually has a benefit to it. So, hormonal imbalances is one thing, and certain medications also. So there's a bunch of different reasons that could cause that.
Yeah.
We talked about pornography as well and the damage that does. So if this is a situation that you're dealing with, it's not just that you have a mental thing going on. It's possible, right? But it's possible there are other things going on as well, which is why you need to see a healthcare professional to determine the underlying cause. And the great thing is that if this is an issue for you, you don't have to just live the rest of your life and like that. And, there are things that they can do to be a help to you.
Okay. Here's another myth. I think a lot of women feel this way. More sex equals a better relationship. So I think that there's even a possibility of a woman being out there and being like, okay, my marriage is not great. If I just initiate more sex or give him more sex, it's going to fix the problems we have. And I that's a myth. It's not true. The frequency of sexual activity doesn't necessarily equate to relationship satisfaction. You've got to really focus on the quality of intimacy, emotional connection, and communication rather than just the frequency of sexual encounters. And this is one thing that we talked about at this conference in Mississippi, Leveling Up Your Sex, is we talked about your sex will get better if you are pursuing each other outside of the bedroom, if you're having spiritual connections, emotional connections.
Well, and seeking those connections first, right? Yeah. Great sex comes from being connected, not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually.
Yes.
That sex in and of itself is a spiritual act. And so it's like we kind of turn things around sometimes and think, well, more sex and that will fix everything else.
No.
And that'll create the closeness.
That's a myth.
That's not the case.
Yep, exactly. You got to put in the time, put in the effort outside the bedroom. Now, a lot of times, I think that there are marriages probably out there who are having a lot of sex but are not great marriages. But typically, if you're fighting, if you don't have a great marriage, it does reflect in the bedroom. But having more sex is not going to fix it.
Well, I will say, you're right. It doesn't fix it, and maybe it is. They're literally trying to put a patch on their relationship, and that's kind of how they're doing it. But I think it can be an indicator if you're not having a lot of sex or you're not interested in sex. It can be an indicator that there's something physiological going on or mentally going on, or there is an issue with the closeness of your marriage relationship. So if I would hunt down those three things if you're not having that much sex.
Right.
Here's one. True love means always being in sync sexually.
Whatever.
Like if you're really in love, you see this in the movies where it's like eyes lock and like everything else, and it's just we're in sync totally, which is just, it's not the case. You know, sex drives are different.
Always, yeah.
Every day, you know, hormones are different. Every day is different as far as like how busy you are and how tired everybody is. You know, there's a myriad of things that are going on that affect whether or not we're actually in sync. So, but it's common for couples to have different preferences, different desire levels, and this is where the healthy communication that we talked about comes in. And I think especially when it comes to different desires and all those sorts of things and drives, we have to have that conversation about needs.
Yes.
And as it talks about in 1 Corinthians 7, just making sure that we're fulfilling the needs of our spouse in a healthy way. So,
yeah.
But you work to navigate these, and it can kind of strengthen your relationship.
Yeah.
So those are some common myths. We're going to move into some myths about STDs.
Okay.
And some people who are listening are like, well, why would you talk about that? Because, you know, aren't we Christian couples, and therefore, you know, we're the only people we've ever had sex with? Well, it's just not the case, right? We have people from all different kinds of backgrounds listening, and all kinds of different experience and past and history. And so
some people on their second marriage, third marriage.
Yeah. And as we mentioned earlier in the episode, this might be the section that you have your teenagers listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's nothing like an STD conversation to have a deterrent. In fact, we were on speakerphone talking about the episode.
Yeah.
And I mentioned the STD section, and you're like, Catherine's listening.
Catherine's in the car. And she's like rolling her eyes. And I'm like, I said to her, you know what STDs are, right? They're sexually transmitted diseases. She's like, yes. She's like, don't explain anymore.
Like, please stop talking about this. So nothing like a good STD talk to deter your kids as well.
Yeah.
So
all right,
here we go.
The first myth.
With the first myth here in our STD section. All right, okay. Here you
go. You can't get an STD from oral sex. Myth, not true. You can. I don't know who believes that myth, but yeah. I don't even know much about anything, really.
But you know that?
But I know that.
Well, and that's the thing, because STDs like herpes, gonorrhea, syphilis, did you think like 5 years ago when we started the podcast, you'd ever have those three words on the podcast?
No. We have gotten a lot more bold.
Anyway, they can be transmitted through oral genital contact. So make sure if that is an issue for you in your relationship, for whatever reason, make sure you're using protection such as condoms or dental dams. And that helps to reduce the risk.
However, moving on to our next myth, condoms here's the myth. Sorry. The myth is condoms are 100% effective in preventing STDs.
Yeah.
So that's a myth. So don't think that like, that's all you need and you're good to go. Condoms definitely significantly like reduce the risk of STDs, but they're not 100% effective.
Well, and this reminds me of the episode of Friends.
Yes.
Where all the guys on the show find out that condoms aren't 100% effective.
Yes, might be something to remember.
They should put that on the box.
Yeah. Some STDs can be transmitted through areas that are not covered by a condom. So definitely want to know all the information and not believe the lies, the myths.
This one here, when I read it, I thought, are you kidding me? There can't be people that actually believe this.
Yeah, I agree. This was ridiculous to me.
There's no way. So I hope that you didn't believe this, but here's the myth. You can tell if someone has an STD by looking at them.
I don't know what you think you see.
I don't either, because, even if they have something on their lip, that doesn't necessarily mean it's from an STD, right? Mm-mm. But many STDs are asymptomatic, meaning individuals can be infected without showing symptoms. So if it is an issue in your life, you need to make sure that you have regular screenings.
Yes.
That's the only way to tell.
Yeah.
Not
by looking at someone.
This dude looks like he has an STD, or she definitely has an STD. Look at her. That
Don't be judgy anyway. Okay. How did I get this one again? All right. Sorry, I gotta say it. I guess
you're the one who did this.
I know. I assigned who says what, and I wasn't really paying attention.
Because you're the one who assigns who says what.
Sorry. Okay, I'm just gonna say it.
Go for it.
This is the next myth. Douching prevents STDs. Douching can disrupt the natural balance of bacteria in the vagina, increasing the risk of infections rather than preventing them. So it's actually doing the opposite. So there's your myth, and there's your information.
Yeah.
Are we done with this section? Can we move on?
I think so. I think we're good.
Okay.
On STDs. So
let's talk about some other sex myths. When you're in a marriage.
Okay. So, this one says, if there are sexual issues, the relationship is doomed.
This is ridiculous to me because every single marriage has sexual issues.
Well, I mean,
at some point in the
sexual issues are common in relationships.
I disagree. I think every single marriage has sexual issues at some point.
But we literally tell people never say never and always Never say never and always. I almost said always say always.
Yeah,
but
that's
don't
wrong.
say that either.
No. But I disagree because, okay, so let me ask you this, Thomas.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a marriage out there who has never, ever had a sexual issue at some point in their marriage?
I think there could be.
I disagree.
Yeah.
See, people, sometimes we disagree.
Yeah, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
But
I think literally every single marriage has a sexual issue at some point. We have an amazing marriage, and we have had issues in the past.
Yeah.
That we've had to figure out and overcome.
We have an amazing marriage now.
Even when it was at our worst, it was still a good marriage.
Okay. Oh, well, from your perspective, I guess, but.
Okay, so we disagree again.
But here's the thing. We have counseled numerous people who have gone through, talk about sexual issues. The worst one you can think of is infidelity, probably.
Yeah.
And we've counseled people who have cheated multiple times, both partners, and they were able to work through it, confess their issues, and have great marriages today. So it doesn't have to be the end. A lot of times it is, or it can be. And I think maybe this is pointing to the fact that maybe the sex just isn't that good or isn't good at all. But you can have a happy marriage even if the sex is like meh. But it sure is nice when it's not meh.
I wouldn't know meh, so I don't know.
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say I wouldn't know anything but meh. All right.
Yeah, I'm being nice. Okay.
That was a first.
Your partner will automatically know what you like. And we've touched on this already a little bit on this episode, but it's not smart to assume your spouse knows your sexual preferences without communication. You've got to talk to them about that. And then you've got to talk about it again, and you've got to talk about it again, because you change, they change, situations change. So openly discussing desires and boundaries are what is going to help you have a more fulfilling sexual relationship. So that's the myth. Your partner will automatically know what you like.
Yeah. Crazy myth. I mean, you've got to learn and grow and be a student of your spouse. But you talked about openly discussing desires and boundaries. which is so good. I'm actually having a conversation on my Facebook page right now about a book I read and some of the stuff that's being brought up about what some Christians have taught about, boundaries and all that has been kind of interesting.
Yeah. And it's important to talk about that stuff and talk about what you do like and what you don't like, because if you are not enjoying your sexual encounters with your spouse, and you haven't shared that with them, it's your fault. It's not their fault.
Yeah.
You got to share it.
Here's this one. Sex will get boring over time.
Not with us.
Yeah, that's a myth.
Yeah.
So
It's a myth.
with effort and creativity, couples can maintain excitement in their sexual relationship. Exploring new experiences and maintaining open communication can keep the intimacy vibrant. And of course, we talked about how we're going to be doing an episode off of what we shared at our latest couples conference, marriage conference, about 10 ways to spice it up. But I think the great thing about getting to know your spouse, you build this trust and this comfort level that makes you more open to try different things in different places and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
I think that over time, it should just get more exciting
Definitely.
and more
No
adventurous.
doubt. No doubt. All right, here's a myth for you. There's a correct amount of sex for marriage.
And this is one you believe.
This is one I believed.
believed.
I believed that the magic number was 3 times a week, at least. Like, if you were having more, that was fine.
Only 3?
Yeah. Some people are like, 3?
Some people are like, wait, 3's a lot. And I'm like,
Yeah.
only 3?
That's the thing, though. That's the whole point, is like, it's not about a certain number. There's not a certain number that makes it like a healthy marriage. The whole point is that both spouses are satisfied and connected, no matter what society tells you or what you think about it. There's no ideal frequency for sex for each couple.
Well, and there's times for us where 3 seems like a lot because of everything we have going on and just where our
Sex
lives
drive
are
or emotional
Yeah.
issues.
And then there's times where 3 seems like not even close to enough. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah.
we tend on the not even close to enough right now. So life's pretty good.
Moving on. What's the next sexual myth?
That's kind of the story of your life. Moving on.
Moving on. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, that's also the story of our lives. Next myth here is sexual desire naturally declines in long-term relationships. So my sister worked in a nursing home, and with the stories she told me about those old people in that nursing home,
I was shocked.
This one's not true.
I was shocked. I was like, my jaw was dropped down to the floor. I was like, what? I was so shocked. So yeah.
I think some of the dirtiest, freakiest people on the planet are in their 70s and 80s. Like, it's crazy what goes on in those places. So
You've heard.
yeah. So it doesn't have to decline in long-term relationships. Obviously, desire can fluctuate, but many couples maintain a satisfying sexual relationship over time through effort, communication, mutual understanding.
Effort, I think, is the key word.
Yes.
Because if you don't continue giving it effort, like learning, growing, practicing your skill, getting better, talking about it, then I do think it would decline. But if you're putting in some effort, it will only get better.
Yeah.
And we can testify to that.
So we're gonna close this episode out with kind of a fun category of myths here, and that's you can't get pregnant if.
I feel like we need some sort of game show music.
Yeah.
It sounds like a game show. Okay, so the first one is, and this is so funny. Number 1, you can't get pregnant if you have sex in water. I don't know who would think that is true, but apparently that's a myth that is somewhat believed out there.
Well, I don't know if this is where it comes from, but I know like semen can't live in water. So I don't know if kind of that thought process moved over into the if you have sex in water,
Like
then
there's
you
water
can't get
everywhere,
pregnant.
therefore they're all dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not quite sure.
Just to clear this up for all of you out there, water does not prevent pregnancy. Just in case anybody believed this. Sperm can still fertilize an egg in water, so make sure that you're
taking precautions if you don't want to get pregnant.
Unless you're trying to get pregnant, then go ahead and try the water.
Yeah. Highly recommend. Number 2. You can't get pregnant if you use a condom.
Yeah, which friends taught us that.
Yeah, so it's like, what, 97% effective? Mm-hmm. But there's still that 3%, and knowing us, we'd be the 3%.
Yeah.
So if you didn't know that, if you thought, hey, we're good because we use a condom, you could still
There's a risk there.
Pregnant.
There's a risk there. All right, number 3. You can't get pregnant if the pull-out method is used. It is an effective form of birth control. Wrong. And this is how we know. We have several friends that use this method, and they now have many beautiful children.
Yes, they do. Actually, these friends are the reason I went and got a vasectomy, because I was like, I do not want to end up in that situation.
But we have heard of several couples that we know who have told us this was the method of birth control they were using, and they got pregnant. And we're like, yeah. That's not surprising. Yeah. This is where you want to go back to the 90s and be like, yeah, no duh.
Yeah. It's like you weren't very good at it.
We need to bring back the no duh. No duh.
Yeah. I don't
you
know
don't look like you're on board with it.
I'm not on board with that. But.
All right, listen, though, you guys. The withdrawal method is about 78% effective. So you know what that means? 22 out of 100 people may become pregnant each year using that method.
Yeah.
So it's not a good method.
Yeah. So... here's one that we did believe.
We did believe. We were told this. We believed it.
We wholeheartedly believed it. Now looking back, we
were stupid.
It doesn't make sense, and I'll explain that in just a second. But here's the myth before I get into it. If you're nursing, you can't get pregnant, which is absolutely not true.
Yep. I got pregnant while nursing
3 extra kids.
3 times.
3 extra kids to prove that this one isn't true.
Yeah. And I wasn't just like only nursing at night or something. Like I was nursing every 3 hours. The babies were 5 or 6 months old, and I'm like fully nursing them. And we still got pregnant 3 times.
Yeah.
So don't believe it.
But, if logically thinking about it, I'm like, well, what does this part of your body have to do with this part of your body?
I think it has to do with like the estrogen and hormones and stuff is what they said.
Well, whatever it is,
because your hormones are out of whack. Yeah, it's not true.
If anything, I think it causes pregnancy.
It did for us. Okay, number 5. You can't get pregnant the first time you have sex. Who believed that?
I don't know.
I mean, I feel bad because there might be somebody out there who's like, I believe that. Like, I don't want to be mean to that person. Yeah. And if you believe that, I'm sorry. You probably had a good reason to believe that. Somebody was very convincing and told you that, or you read it from what you felt was a reliable source. But you can definitely get pregnant the first time.
But this is, again, good information that your teenagers probably need to know. Because if they're like, well, we can just have sex one time and it'll be fine. There's no repercussions. So
yeah, because we are followers of Jesus. We are Christians. We believe that sex should only be in the bounds of marriage. And that's what we want for our children. But at the same time, if you have teenagers, they need to know choices. They need to know this information, right? At least be educated, and hopefully the education will help them to make good choices.
Yeah. Here's one that is absolutely ludicrous. You can't get pregnant if you have sex standing up.
Who came up with that one?
I don't know. I don't know if they thought it's like a gravity condom or like...
You know what these myths make me think of?
What?
These ones about you can't get pregnant if. They make me think of like middle school boys telling secrets in the hallway and like giggling about it.
Yeah.
Like that's how reliable these seem.
But it's like, okay, first of all, this is not the easiest position in the first place.
Yeah.
Or advantageous. I mean,
there's some variables that you're going to really want to think
definitely
about.
Possible. It's also possible you have a severe injury.
On our next episode, sex sent me to the ER.
Yeah. So definitely possible, but will not prevent pregnancy. And I don't know if they just think gravity's going to like keep those boys out of there, but they're pretty determined. So
okay, so this reminded me of something about gravity. I was told that you had a better chance of getting pregnant if after sex you stood on your head. And I believed it. And we were trying to get pregnant, and I did that.
which child was that with?
Catherine.
With the first.
One.
That's funny.
After that, they were all surprises, basically.
Yeah.
Like we were
they were
happy
like,
to have more.
but we can't get pregnant because she's nursing. Those were the other babies.
Yeah, exactly.
So you were trying to let gravity do its work the other direction.
Yes. I'm pretty sure I'm just an idiot who was.
So you might have believed number 6 then.
If somebody told me, there's a good chance I would have.
Yeah.
All right, number 7. You can't get pregnant if you have sex during your period. This I think I would have believed. I never really was told this, nor did I really think about it, but I think I would have believed this. And it is less likely to get pregnant during your period. But sperm can...
Whoa.
I apologize. I'm allergic to talking about sex. But sperm can live, and this shocked me.
I could not believe this. I didn't know this part.
This shocked me. Sperm can live inside the female reproductive tract for up to 5 days. So if you're not trying to get pregnant, keep that in mind. Because if you ovulate shortly after your period ends, then pregnancy is possible. So that's crazy to me. That was
so they could be in there, your period could end, and then you could get fertilized and get pregnant.
Yes.
Yeah, see that I didn't know it was 5 days. I didn't know how long it was.
Yeah.
I know that outside of the female reproductive tract, they can't survive. So, but I didn't realize it was that long inside.
Yeah, me neither. That one shocked me. So, because I mean, I think that there's probably a lot of people who are like, oh, we can't get pregnant right now because I'm menstruating, so we're safe. But if you are trying to, plan your family, you might have a surprise there.
Yeah. So this one sounds like some guy made it up in the heat of the moment.
Trying to convince his wife to have sex, even though she was like, I don't want to get pregnant again.
Yeah. This myth says you can't get pregnant if you have sex in a hot tub.
I wonder if this one, they would try to convince him, like, it's too hot, the sperm will die.
Yeah, that's what I think, because water temperature does not affect sperm viability in the reproductive tract.
Yeah.
So pregnancy can occur if sperm reaches the egg regardless of the location. Like, it doesn't matter if you are in a hot tub, a pool, the river, the ocean.
Bathtub.
Yeah, shower.
Yeah.
You could be in the shower standing up. You're still going to get pregnant. Highly recommend all those, by the way.
Yes. Oh my goodness. This is me again.
This is you again.
I get the worst ones.
You gave yourself the worst ones.
Can I pass this to you?
No. It says L next to it.
Number 9. You can't get pregnant if you douche after sex, and it will prevent pregnancy. That is not true because douching does not prevent pregnancy and is generally not recommended because it can actually disrupt the natural balance of bacteria in the vagina and may increase the risk of infections. So it's actually doing the opposite.
I wonder if people think like, oh, I can wash it out real quick.
Yeah. Like it's going to erase all of the sperm before they get to the egg.
Yeah, but it's like they swim a lot faster than you can go.
Wash. Mm-hmm.
So... Yeah.
So you're going to get pregnant.
That's the only thought process I could think of why that would even be thought of as a legitimate thing.
Yeah.
Number 10, you can't get pregnant if you don't orgasm.
I don't know why someone would believe this. Although I have heard that if the woman orgasms, then if you have a better chance of getting pregnant, that maybe feels like a myth too, but I didn't look that up.
Yeah, that I don't know. I don't know if that's true or not. Mm-hmm. But I've heard that one for sure. This one I had not heard, but the thing is, first of all, a high percentage of women don't orgasm. Most of it has to do with guys not knowing what they're doing, because some women can't get there with just the man's equipment, we'll put it that way.
But it might not be that the man doesn't know what he's doing. In defense of all of the husbands, it may be that the woman is not communicating.
Yeah, but I'm saying,
I'll just mention that.
So, anyways, pregnancy occurs when sperm fertilizes an egg, not based on whether the female partner orgasms. even if a woman doesn't orgasm, sperm can still reach and fertilize an egg. So, once again, those guys are doing their job with no matter what's going on.
Gotcha.
Basically.
Okay. You can't get pregnant if you're very old. If you're very old. That's not true.
I don't think you read this whole thing here.
I did not. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I did not read this whole thing.
You just insulted, first of all, yourself and a lot of other people.
Yeah, listen to the rest of this. This really is hurtful. While fertility declines with age, women can still become pregnant in their 40s. 40s.
Welcome to the very old lady club, brother.
I just arrived here a couple of months ago. I am now 40 years old, and this hurts. I'm not going to lie.
40-year-old.
Yeah. But the chances of conception does decrease in your 40s and older. And the risk of complications increases. And I know that there's like advanced maturity. They call it like advanced maturity if you're pregnant 40 and older and stuff like that. And I've heard that they really throw that in your face a lot at your doctor's appointments from friends.
This has me wondering who the oldest woman is, because 40, right?
Besides Sarah in the Bible.
Yeah, besides her. 40 seems like not that old.
Not that old.
My mom had my brother, who was 17 years younger than me, when she was 40. I think she was 40 years old. I could be wrong about that.
We know
I
other
she
friends
was
who were
40-ish.
40.
Yeah.
I thought she was 42.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
She was 40 or over. I know that.
Yeah.
So let's see here. The oldest woman to give birth is believed to be Aramati Mangama.
Oh.
An Indian woman who had twin girls at the age of 73.
Twins
At 73.
Why would you do that to yourself? You poor thing.
In 2019.
That's not that long ago.
No.
We're in 2025 right now.
Yeah. So previously the record was held by Maria del Carmen Basuda Lara. Wow, that's a name. Who gave birth to twin boys at the age of 66 in 2006.
They were both twins.
Yeah. Oh, in vitro.
Okay.
She had in vitro.
Okay.
So she's 70-something too, at least, trying to get pregnant.
Yeah, why? It's got to be for testing purposes.
Okay, hold on.
Somebody must have paid. Somebody, I hope, paid those women a lot of money because that sounds terrible.
So that's in vitro. Let me see see if I can find naturally. Let's see.
Oh my gosh, I cannot even. I'm trying to imagine how horrible that would be.
Okay, here we go.
Okay.
The oldest verified mother conceived naturally. This says listed currently as of the 26th of January 2017 in Guinness Records is Dawn Brooke. She conceived a son at the age of 59 in 1997.
59.
59 and had it naturally.
That absolutely had to be a surprise.
I would hope so. 59.
At that point, she could have multiple grandchildren.
Yeah. So when this says very old in their 40s, I think you still got a lot of time left.
Yeah, but I'm sorry to all of the women who are in their 40s or older, but according to this, we're all very old.
No, not according to this. You put this on paper. I didn't. You called them very old.
Thomas did this. No, I'm just kidding.
You called them very old.
But I don't think you are.
Yeah, when I saw the number 40, I was like, oh, she has no idea. She put that.
Yeah, that's awful.
Put that in here.
I am not very old.
Okay.
But anyway, go ahead.
Number 12. You can't get pregnant if you don't have a period.
Oh, okay.
This one seems like I could see why people would believe this.
Yeah, me too.
Even if you don't have irregular periods, you can still ovulate and become pregnant. Interesting. I never knew that. Ovulation can occur without a noticeable period, making pregnancy possible. Okay.
There you go. So that concludes the you can't get pregnant if section of our myths.
Yeah.
And actually that is going to wrap up our
wait,
episode.
I've got one. I've got one more I thought of.
What do you got?
You can't get pregnant if your husband's had a vasectomy.
Oh yeah, because that can grow back.
Can you imagine? So like I know some guys who got their vasectomy and then they didn't take their sample in to get it checked and make sure it worked right.
Yeah, with which like you think about everything you go through to have a vasectomy.
Yeah, to risk
and then
that.
To risk, yeah.
But yeah, then it can like clear a path again.
So either it was never accomplished or it grew back.
Yeah.
Or grew back? I don't know enough about it.
Yeah. I just remember it was a horrible experience.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one more that I would add that wasn't on here.
Okay. Which I think that's also what, that can happen for women too. If they get
their tubes tied or whatever.
Yeah. It can, yeah.
Somehow it unties itself.
Yeah, I don't understand all of it that much, but addressing these myths and thinking about all these things can help you to have a better sex life, and it can help you to not get pregnant if you're not trying to get pregnant. But it's good to talk about these myths with your spouse in an open way, communicating. Be willing to adapt to hearing what they have to say about desires and things like that. And it really can give you an awesome sexual relationship in a marriage, even if it's been years and years and years that you've been married.
Yeah. So family meeting tonight's just about you and your spouse and sitting down and, talking about some of these myths. Maybe there's some that you believed, and it's like, whoa, you're not going to believe what I heard today. But maybe it's just about spending some time talking about sex. Like, hey, what can I do better to meet your needs? How can I be a better lover to you? And taking an opportunity to have that open conversation. Because as we talked about, as a married couple, like, your biggest goal is to become an expert at your spouse, to know them.
I know what you were about to say.
I feel like
you were going to say inside and out, weren't you?
I was totally going to say inside and out. And then I'm like...
I really can finish Thomas's sentences,
I'm like,
by the way.
That sounds dirtier than I meant. I mean, everything in an episode like this sounds dirty. I didn't mean it that way.
That's true, though. That does happen.
But yeah, that way also, I guess, works too. But you're just becoming an expert at them, what they need, what they like, what they don't like. And so just having that conversation tonight and just see where it leads.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today. Please go and subscribe to the Family Meeting Podcast from your favorite podcast provider. And if you found this information helpful, please share this episode on social media and invite your friends and family to listen in with you.
To find more content and information Lysandra and I provide, you can go to our website, familymeeting.org, or you can email us at info@familymeeting.org. You can shoot us a text or call us. We'd love to hear your comments on this episode. What myths did you believe? What myths maybe did we leave out? You can do that. Once again, 904-257-3062.
And we want to invite you to join us for our next family meeting next week as we discuss having a family mission statement. Who are we? What are we about? What's truly important to us? We're going to talk about all those things. And Thomas and I do not have a mission statement for our family yet, so we will be creating one on air next week.
Yeah, and I know some people who they've come up with theirs, they've actually printed it out, made it look really nice, put it in a frame, put it on their wall so they can see it all the time and
Great
be reminded.
Idea. Love it.
Thanks for joining us today for this family meeting. Have a great week, everybody. This meeting is adjourned.
Thank you for joining us. Let us know, what myth did we miss? What myth did you believe that we didn't talk about today?
Yeah.
Or maybe there's one that you were like, oh my gosh, that one got me. I thought that was true. You've blown my mind right now. Or which one did you think was the most ridiculous?
Yeah.
I can't believe anybody would ever believe that.
Standing up.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the most ridiculous ones.
Yeah. Well, we want to hear from you. We love to hear from you. We appreciate you watching. We appreciate you listening. And we will meet you right back here next week.